Well, I listened to the audiobook. I got sent the first two audiobooks. I didn't know anything about them, Caimh. I hadn't read any. I knew you were writing books, and I thought you were writing books about Ireland, and this book's about Manchester. And I didn't know there was any unusual element in it all. And I started on the second. I started on the second one. I thought, this is I'm really gripped by this. And then suddenly there were sort of vampires and stuff in it. And I went, okay. I wasn't expecting that. And it was actually quite joyous because it really wrong-footed me, which it won't for most readers because most readers won't start on the second one. So I went back. I realized, although there's recaps in the second one, I realized this is a thing you should start at the beginning. So there are four of them now, I think, aren't there? But so the first one is called The Stranger Times. Do you want to... It's easier for especially with novels that you give a synopsis of what this is, so I don't give too much away.
Yeah, well, basically, for anyone who's a fan of the 14 Times, which I'm a massive fan of, which kind of part of the inspiration is, it's basically The Stranger Times is a newspaper based in Manchester, which reports weird and wonderful news from all around the world. And it's quite a sort of low-end, weird, once-a-week type of thing. And they're the idea is they're initially just reporting these things as, the madness in the world. And then it turns out they start discovering that there are some things going on that are considerably more unusual than they expected. Like there is magic and stuff in the world. And the sort of editor is the whole idea behind Bancroft is he was like the sort of dark prince of Fleet Street. And then his wife died and he had a breakdown essentially. And he ends up editing this weird newspaper, which he doesn't believe in, but he's determined that it's still going to be a newspaper. And, it may be, I think at some point he describes it as it might be crap, but it's going to be correctly spelled crap. And then it's sort of, they end up going off into the kind of getting involved in, shall we say, the machinations of the magical world and all the various different things in it. Yeah.
What was it that inspired this idea, or what was it that made you want to kind of, do something involving the supernatural in this way?
Well, what was weird is because, as I said, the bunny books took off and I got an agent and stuff then. And they were like, initially the plan was I was going to write a quote-unquote serious crime book. Right. And I remember sitting in my office at the time, my old writing office, and having loads of serious crime book ideas up. And I literally woke up in my flat one morning and my brain was like, do you remember that sitcom idea you had like 10 years ago you wrote about the newspaper? And I can distinctly remember the weird moment of standing in the shower going, oh yeah, I really like that. It was really good. And then I started walking to my writing office because I never write at home. And I started walking to my writing office through Manchester. And I was like, oh, this is where it should be. This just makes perfect sense. And it was literally a 20-minute walk. And by the end of the walk, I was running up the stairs in this crappy little building to get to my office to start writing things down furiously because it just made sense. And then I went to my agents like, going, yeah, remember that serious crime book? Yeah, no, werewolves.